glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time, where being salty is a way of life.
Salt all day. You know what, and I actually didn't appreciate that for Mr. Priest on that video for one reason and one reason only. I am salt sensitive. I'm salt sensitive. I retain water like no other. I can't have that in my life. So thank you for bringing it to my attention. It cut deep, and I now have to take a hard look at myself.
I enjoy salt. Put it on my popcorn.
And listen,
yeah, I love it on my chips. I can't go to a Mexican food restaurant without putting extra salt on my chips.
You have to love it with your Jalen Hurd news.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't I? If I love salt on everything, why wouldn't I love it with my Jalen Hurd news?
Oh, who knows? Who
Delicious.
knows? Shooter, how you doing, my guy?
Hey, Shooter.
How you doing, sir? How you doing? But Cutback crew, it's Q&A time. We've done our part with the preview show. That part's over. We've done it. So that's over and done with. And now we get to discuss with you. I don't know if you guys watched the preview show or not, because I imagine you hopped from the live stream maybe over to other people talking about the Hurd news, so you may have missed the preview show. So if you did, go check it out after that. I'll try and leave a link to it here in the comment section so you can go right to it, maybe even pin it here towards the end of it. Brad, I need some salt therapy after this week. Maybe.
You see DJ Vick, Debo fully healthy. Yeah, you're right. He's not on the injury list.
I'll take it. I'll take a healthy.
100%, that's good news.
That's huge news for the 49ers. That's
positive. I like the positive outlook.
DJ Vick coming through with the faithful, Ant. The Niner Empire. That's going to be tomorrow.
Shooter, it is going good. We've had a nice day of recording. A little bit of extra news, with the whole Jalen Hurd thing. But yeah, it's been exciting. We're getting geared up for the Friday Frenzy, and I'm excited about this live stream because, I'm sure there's lots of questions. It's the first day of practice for the 49ers this week. So there's always lots of stuff that comes out from that. You
mean to tell me, Ant, when the 49ers actually are doing stuff and got things going that, interesting things that we get,
Usually, yes.
Questions. Oh man, that's
even
crazy.
If they have nothing going on, they usually come up with some sort of topic to talk about.
Accurate, especially this week. Everything else that's going on.
Caleb has a question for you.
For me specifically.
Alex, is it true that you are rooting for the Browns in the Madden League?
Oh hell no. Oh heck no.
Who's the Browns?
The Browns is Caleb.
Oh, that's my new favorite team.
They're 0-4. They were 0-3 in the preseason. Caleb struggled a little bit. He wasn't doing too hot.
All right, I'm rooting for the Browns. Go Browns.
Hey, but here's the good news.
Put me in the dog pound.
Caleb, I'm actually going to be recording tonight for Patreon and for our channel members here on YouTube. My first game, my week 1 game, because we have now progressed to week 1. Oh God, what?
Jay Hill has a question for you.
We'll get to it, Jason. I'll get to it. We'll get there. We'll get there, Jason. But I did lose my starting center and my starting left tackle, David Bakhtiari. I lost both of them for 3 weeks. So I went out to injury.
Wow, you're a bad coach.
I know, I'm terrible, man.
How can you not keep these guys healthy?
I don't know what I'm doing. The worst part is Drew, the other guy in the league who's played Madden for a very long time, is a guy who's going to cause problems for all of us, top to bottom. He lost 3 of his starters, 2 of them for 4 weeks, and 1 of them for half the season.
Yeah, I'm questioning all you guys as head coaches and front office personnel.
It's true. So look, Jay Hill, how does it feel losing to me in face-off all the time? If I actually lost to you in face-off, then I'd actually have a feeling to, I guess, give out or have to draw memory off of. But since it hasn't happened yet, no, ever, won't happen.
You're feeling good. No salt. No salt on that one.
No, I'm feeling good like I should. Stomping around this Cutback crew neighborhood. But Brad, how are you feeling about the OBJ news? Never thought he'd sign with us anyway.
Yeah, you know what? In fact, Jay Hill, who's a part of Face Off, he said right away, what if he went to the Rams? Right when he was first going to be put on waivers. So it was actually no shock to us. That's kind of something we've all thought was a possibility that he would end up there. They were on a full court press to, from Jalen Ramsey to Von Miller to recruit him. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. To me, they're no more scary with OBJ than they were, without him. They're a very impressive football team. They got a lot of, good things going their way. But they had Deshaun Jackson, and Deshaun Jackson couldn't find enough touches in that offense. So I wonder if they're going to be able to find enough touches for OBJ. And let's not forget, Baker Mayfield looked pretty good without OBJ. So maybe sometimes forcing the ball to a player can create some issues. I hope it creates issues for them, and I hope it crumbles around them because they're a good football team, and they're definitely going all in on trying to win the Super Bowl. But ultimately, it didn't shock me. I thought Green Bay was somewhere I thought, Tampa Bay. And then...
it is actually hysterical because you literally, in passing, called what was going to happen in Green Bay, which is they just don't do these type of things.
Yeah.
They don't make these types of moves, and it sounds like Green Bay was in on it, but OBJ wasn't convinced that they wanted him that badly, which is exactly
Aaron wants him.
Yes.
Devontae Adams wants him. You know who doesn't want him? Green Bay. They want no part of helping Aaron Rodgers for some reason. It's the weirdest thing.
It's odd.
It's like, hey, Aaron, go do it by yourself. Unless we draft him. If we draft him like Devontae Adams,
but we're not going to draft the guys that you want.
We're going to draft a bunch of guys with weird names that you have to go try to make good receivers out of.
It's true. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Alan Lazard.
You have to have a strange...
Equanimous St. Brown.
You have to have a weird name to play wide receiver for Green Bay these days.
True.
Except for Devontae. I think that's kind of a normal.
Oh, Devontae's fine, but after Devontae, they just went with weird names.
Devontae just...
Robert Tunyon.
Yeah, I think Devontae Adams needs to just come home. Played college ball in Fresno State, person from the Bay Area. Come home, sir.
Come to San Francisco. Yeah. Come to San Francisco. Candy R said, I lost Chris Jones. Didn't you trade for Chris Jones? That's bad.
Wow.
That's a big yikes, man. That's a big yikes. What are the odds of Kyle running that play with juice behind center?
Absolutely zero. I don't usually give absolutes, but absolutely zero.
Probably.
And if he does, I'm gonna throw something at the TV. So I might need Black Friday sales to come up real quick.
I can just imagine it now. Know what I'm gonna do, and I'll get you a soft foam brick and bring that over.
Oh, thank you.
Tomorrow.
Brick by brick, I'll throw things at the TV.
Brick by brick, you will.
Yeah.
Green Bay doesn't want Rodgers winning winning ways. Apparently not. Green Bay was where he wanted to go, but yep, they didn't put the full court press on like Sean did.
That's true.
Yeah.
100%. That's true. And you know what? It doesn't make any sense. He did want to be in Green Bay, and Green Bay made the most sense. A dynamic weapon opposite of Devontae Adams, yeah, let's do that. Why not? Have at least the fear of God in somebody else. Right now, it's Devontae Adams and some dudes that look like they should be working for a law firm.
Lazard, Scantling. Lazard, Scantling, and Brown.
Yeah.
Attorneys at law.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's what it sounds like, man.
You're not wrong, man. Yeah. It really did. I never thought of it that way. That's accurate. The only thing Green Bay gave Rodgers was the virus. I like that, Tio. That's funny. That's absolutely hilarious.
Hey, at least they gave him something.
Better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah.
All he did was give you a Super Bowl.
One. The fact that he's only gotten one Super Bowl and he's one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the NFL goes to show an organization that's not been committed to going all in. I bet you he wished he was on a team like the Rams. I was willing to go all in for him to win a Super Bowl. When you have a quarterback like that, you should.
In theory.
Yeah.
In theory.
I know I would. Because I've told you, I know how hard it is to win one Super Bowl. I would go all in. I don't care if I don't win multiple.
You were right. I've kind of had to shift my tune on this a little bit, because I was one of those guys who always thought it was extremely important to try and find that balance between the two. I don't know no more. I don't know if I'm firmly in that boat anymore.
I think if you have the chance, you go for it.
You go for it.
Yeah.
You make the moves.
You might never get another chance again.
Correct. You're not wrong.
1994 was a long time ago.
It really was, man.
Yeah.
It really was. Shooter, how much do you think OBJ plays Monday?
I would say not very much. To pick up the offensive scheme, there'll be a lot, but I think they can tell him what to do. That's the only thing with a wide receiver compared to another position, right? They can kind of tell him. But you would think they'd want to roll with Van Jefferson. He understands the offense. He understands where he needs to be, and then kind of roll OBJ out the next week in a more extended role.
This is where I was kind of confused by just the move. I understand what, if you're able to get the best version of OBJ out of OBJ, what he adds to your offense, that's great. But the whole reason Deshaun Jackson isn't getting touches was the emergence of Van Jefferson. Understanding the system.
I will be honest with you. I kind of like it for an opponent standpoint of them adding OBJ. I know that people would normally think that, he's a big-time player and he's going to put more stress. but there's going to be a pressure for Matthew Stafford to get him the football, which also means there's going to be times he's not going to the normal read, which is Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp or Van Jefferson. To me, those are good situations where sometimes you make Matthew Stafford think an extra second because he's trying to force that football.
Oh, that's really all the 49ers need is to make some guys think an extra second. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think he's going to play some, but it's probably going to be limited packages, I would imagine, unless he's not healthy, which there are no indications of that currently. James Vega, do you guys just play as the coaches for the Madden League? So we call plays, all that. We make roster moves. It's full control. So in the games, we're calling plays, but we're also using the players. So it's typical Madden gameplay that you would see.
So you're responsible for the injuries, all of you. You guys need to orchestrate your practices better.
It's not during practices, during games.
That they're getting hurt?
Yeah.
These are all contact injuries. Well, if you'd have got them more prepared during practice or not worked them so hard, they wouldn't get hurt in the game.
You're probably right.
Wow.
You're probably, I can't believe I would do this. I can't believe it. Do you guys think the Rams are the real deal, though, from Mr. Jose? Or because he says they don't seem to be?
I think they got weaknesses. I think right now I don't know who the real deal is, because when you're looking at Tampa Bay, they have some weaknesses.
They've lost some games.
Green Bay has weaknesses. The Rams have weaknesses. Arizona has weaknesses. No team that's out there right now looks like one of those teams that's like unbeatable. But I think it's going to be interesting how it plays out the rest of the season. But I think the Rams are one of those better teams. I think those are the 4 teams right now that are the best teams in the NFC. Who comes along the way, opposite them or, tries to catch them is going to be interesting. Because it looked like Dallas was on their way up, but now they've proven to be, or could be proven to be, pretenders. So
it could be. It could be. The Tennessee Titans are shocking some teams. They've definitely found a groove and a rhythm. And that's good for them. That's great for that team, because the AFC isn't as, it isn't as ironclad with the teams up top as everyone thought. The Bills losing to the Jags opens up a lot of questions. The Bills offense the last 3 weeks has been struggling. The Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are, I don't know, something. They exist. They're a team. They're doing some good things, and
they beat the Raiders. They're back in it.
Very true. They truly are. The AFC West went from, looking like you had some talented teams to all of a sudden, everyone is mucked up there. It is mucked up top to bottom in that whole conference. So that no one has really separated themselves there at all whatsoever. So they're going to be, beating each other up the rest of the way. No, there's a lot of questions. There truly is. It's going to be very interesting. Don't you have more Super Bowls than Belichick even?
Talking about me.
Oh, technically true. Was it 7, 8, 9, 8? I was there for what, 4 of those?
Wait, is it 9? 9.
I think it's 9.
9.
I think I was there for 4. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on from that. Rodgers is better than Brady, but those darn Patriot defenses when Brady was on the team was the difference. Yeah.
I mean, I think if you there is a thought, right, that if you take Brady and you flip him with Aaron Rodgers wins those championships, and Tom Brady probably doesn't win any.
There's a good chance.
I mean, there's an argument. As far as pure talent, Aaron Rodgers is way more talented than Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. You're not wrong there. You're not wrong. Future is not promised. Draft picks aren't gold. Proven talent matters. Agreed with that, Jason, but is he saying that Odell is proven talent right now in terms of what he's done the last few years?
Oh, I know he can catch a ball over his head. That's pretty much what he's proven to me, and he makes bad choices on attire that he wears in what could be Jay-Z equivalent videos.
He kicks field goal nets also, and then also proposes to them.
I think the
he headhunts Josh Norman.
Well, the question with OBJ too is the production going down because of the offense that they're running and that he's playing with Baker Mayfield, or is the production going down because he's just not as good as he was? He's on the downward trend.
Also, Ant, you said it, you brought it up earlier, the demanding of the football. Is that the reason why the offense is slowing down?
Super chat of the day. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
Tommy Huxley with the $2 super chat. That is absolute
Steve
gold.
The Pirate.
Hey, yo.
Arr, 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 I'll split the booty with you.
You have someone on the team that thinks he's a pirate?
End of the movie.
Yeah.
He just realizes he's a pirate. Steve the Pirate? Wait, we have someone on the team.
Fantastic, yeah.
Tommy, that's absolutely glorious. Great right there, my guy. Absolutely great. I'm okay with the 49ers not pursuing OBJ from Maruna Pereira. We have a lot more glaring holes.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
I think that's fine. Yeah.
I mean, I get it, especially if you want to save the money.
Yeah, I have no problems with that either.
No, none at all. Google count said Cooper Kupp going to eat. Could eat.
Yeah.
Very well could.
I mean, I hope he does, or he won't be healthy for the game.
Very true. Very true. Brad Jones, I didn't watch the Rams game Sunday night. Was too depressed after the Cardinals game. Were the Rams that bad? Do we have any hope? We absolutely do.
Well, number one, they're not that bad.
They're not that bad.
But we have looked at all 22 film of their game versus the Titans, and there are at least chinks in the armor.
Correct.
Can the 49ers take advantage of those is another question.
That's the only question.
Yeah. But they're not a perfect football team. So yeah, there's a chance, but it's a tall order. The Rams are a good football team.
100% a good football team. And listen, tomorrow's Know Your Opponent at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to give you some of that all-22 film, a sneak preview for everyone that's here on YouTube. And then Saturday, like we always do, there's going to be the all-22 film preview of the Rams versus the Titans game, so you can watch us break down some of the key moments, key drives, things of that nature, and see what happened in that football game, and us dive a little bit deeper. But you got a nice episode tomorrow with Know Your Opponent, in which we're going to take a look at that all-22 film. From Google, we're obviously still in the playoff hunt. In your opinion, what do the Niners need to do to turn it around the second half of the season?
They need to not make mistakes. They need to play clean football. They need to limit the mistakes. They need to cause turnovers and not turn the ball over. If they execute at a higher level than they've been doing right now, I'm not saying they have to do it every single play, because that's impossible for an NFL player to win on every single play. But if you do it more consistently than you did in the first part of the game, or first part of the season, one or two plays executing more on certain situations are the difference between losing football games and winning football games. The 49ers, talent-wise, still have enough talent to compete in the league, but execution-wise have failed miserably. And this last game, there was a few plays that if it goes a different way, you're talking about momentum being different, game call being different, play being different, and maybe you come out with a different outcome. But it didn't, because they didn't execute, but they got to get it done. Correct.
And that's kind of where I'm at. It's all about consistency and execution. Kyle said it the other day. He talked about getting his A players to play A football, and getting them to do that consistently, and then being able to take your players who are below average, or maybe not your greatest players, but finding a way to get them to elevate. That's what great coaches do. He hasn't done that this year. He hasn't been great. This team hasn't been great in response to that. He's got to find a way to get his young guys, his new guys to elevate. He's got to find a way to make sure that his best players are playing consistent football.
Yeah.
Whether that's getting open, whatever that is. Brandon Ayuk starting to get there. He's one of your better players. Definitely wasn't doing it early. Right. He's starting to. George Kittle back and healthy. He had a great game other than the fumble. Jimmy Garoppolo early in the season struggled, got hurt, came back, struggled, and the last few weeks has looked good. Although in that all-22 film that we watched and that we broke down, he missed some throws. He missed some open wide receivers, which is not something Jimmy typically does, but we've seen little glimpses of it here and there this season. So he's got to clean it up. He definitely has to. And if he can, and this team cannot turn the football over, and then when they do have opportunities for turnovers, capitalize on them, this team can turn the season around in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I think so. I think it comes down to that. They just got to get more things accomplished. They got to limit mistakes, and they can win football games.
You're not wrong there, Ant. And then we had another great question here, and I want to get it.
Well, I seen T.O. ask, how do you think Mac Jones would look in Kyle's system? I think he would look fine. I think if you wanted Jimmy Garoppolo as the quarterback, Mac Jones is pretty equivalent to that. Now the difference is, Mac Jones doesn't have the same quick release that Jimmy Garoppolo has. But I think the way that they look at offense, the way they run the offense, it would be very similar. So that's what if you're looking for, because he doesn't have the athletic ability to extend plays. He's not the freak athlete, so he's not going to take Kyle to the next level. Now, the one thing he does a little bit is he can kind of throw outside the numbers a little bit better than Jimmy. So you'd have a little bit of an advantage there. But I'm not sure that elite release is such a big advantage for Jimmy as far as the way that Kyle runs an offensive line, that Mac wouldn't take more sacks.
Mac would, because he doesn't have the decision-making right now that Jimmy has as well in terms of recognizing and releasing the football on time to the guy that he should be. He still, at times, struggles to operate the field. But this is the thing, right? If you don't like Jimmy Garoppolo, Mac Jones makes no sense, because he's basically Jimmy Garoppolo. Mm-hmm. That's basically what he is. You're just getting the same thing. You're taking the guy you have and replacing him with a younger version of the same guy, whose ceiling is probably close to the same. Maybe a little bit higher. That's only because he's younger right now and has more time to get to where Jimmy is and maybe excel and exceed it. But I mean, that's what you got. That's your ceiling. It is what it is. Why didn't make sense if Mac Jones was the pick to go up to 3?
No, not to go to 3. If you would have took him at 12, yeah, it made sense.
100% makes sense.
I seen David Bender said, "What is your criteria to evaluate if a team is bad?" I think there's a difference between, first you got to establish, are you talking about is a team bad or is a team playing bad? Because if it's a bad team that's been built, and constituted in a bad way, then that's a bad football team, right? A team that has bad players that needs to obviously make everyone better. Like if you're talking about the 2016, the 2015, the 2017 San Francisco 49ers, those were bad football teams. It wasn't just that they were going to play bad, but they were bad football teams. You look at teams in the NFL right now, and there are rosters that are bad. So how is it constituted? The 49ers are a good football team that is playing bad football.
Correct.
That is what is going on right now. I mean, so if you want to call them a bad football team, you can. Their 3-5 record tells you they're not a great football team right now. But there is opportunity. It's not a bad roster. It's just bad execution. So right now they're playing bad. But there is a little bit of a difference that you have to differentiate.
It's like Chip
there.
Kelly and Thomas Sula. It's the same.
Well,
except they're talented.
Well, their rosters suck too. I'll be honest. Chip Kelly's roster was terrible.
Their rosters were terrible, but I don't remember the Chip Kelly or Jim Thomasula teams being 3-5 and a good chunk of their losses being one score.
Well, let's be fair to Chip Kelly. I want to be fair to Chip because he came in with 1 year, and he never got to establish his offensive scheme or build his roster. Yep. Chip Kelly's a failed experiment that they just weren't willing to commit to because they saw the opportunity to go after Kyle Shanahan. They were making a move away from Trent Baalke, so they just went clean break. I know we lumped Chip Kelly into that, but Jim Thomasula was the terrible hire. Chip Kelly, we don't know how that would have went because he never got to fully institute it, and he did make some good roster moves. He's the one that brought Raheem Mostert here to San Francisco.
Also true.
He ultimately develops in Kyle Shanahan's offense, but hey, at least it was talent-wise enough to notice that.
That's very, very true, and you can't forget that. You really can't. And that's kind of where I'm at when you evaluating whether or not a team is bad. It starts with the players you have around, right, in space. Can these players make plays? Have you seen them make plays? Are they in the right spots on film? What is happening? And what we see a lot of, especially with the defense, is guys in the right spot. Mm-hmm. I see Fred Warner in the right spot. I see Jimmy Ward coming down into the box. I see Whiskey Tart making plays. I see guys in the right area and opportunities to make plays, and then plays just not being made. So it's not a matter of whether or not the guys can do it, because part of the formula to a guy executing right and doing something is having an opportunity to, being in position to, being in the right spot, recognizing the right thing, seeing it coming downhill, diagnosing it, whatever it is. I see guys doing that. And then on top, you add on top of the fact, right? What have we seen from Fred Warner over the last few seasons? He's a guy who can create turnovers. He's a guy who can tackle in space. He can cover. He can do all those things. Are turnovers happening right now? No.
It's eerily similar to 2018 as far as turnovers.
Correct.
They just can't get anything happening.
But can they do it? Yes. Have they had opportunities to get turnovers?
Yes.
Absolutely. Have they capitalized? No. So the team isn't bad. The team is not a bad football team. It's a talented team that has the potential is sky high, that just isn't doing enough to come up with the football, enough to turn the tide of the football game, and enough consistently to not put themselves in holes that they have to climb out of.
We do have a few depth issues as well.
Correct.
Depth at tight end.
Depth at corner.
Depth at linebacker.
Oh, God. All three.
Once we got through, Dre Greenlaw, once we got to, Azeez Al-Shaair, and through Azeez Al-Shaair, there was nothing left.
Demetrius Flannery.
I honestly wish they wouldn't have, traded away our guy in the offseason. I know we, got that 6th-round pick, and that was big, but Jonas would have been nice. A very nice fit, and I would have felt a lot more comfortable than...
He looks way better than Demetrius Flannery-Foles.
100%, yeah.
A lot better.
David, okay, I'm glad that we were able to answer it.
True. Brad here, good question. Are you guys in the camp that if we lose badly to the Rams on Monday, it's time to go to Lance? Especially with the next 2 games being the Jags and Vikings.
I am in the camp of I want to see what else happens in the NFC. Because I think that Kyle is playing it out that whatever's happening, and it's also about Jimmy, right? If Jimmy didn't play well against the Rams, if he stunk it up, that would give the opportunity for them to go to Trey Lance. The problem is Jimmy Garoppolo has been the most, one of the better quarterbacks in the league over the last 2 weeks. So it's not a quarterback issue that's going to fix it. I think if it gets to the point where they're not going to make the playoffs, you will see Trey for the rest of the year. They're not there yet. That's why I want to wait and see what happens in the NFC, because we do have the Cardinals playing the Panthers. They win, there you go. You have, Atlanta playing a game against the Cowboys. If Atlanta loses, there you go. So there are losable matchups and games for those other teams around the 49ers.
Seattle playing the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
They lose, they stay right where San Francisco is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things still that could happen. The 49ers I mean, there's nothing this week that indicates to you that a loss this week's unless a team does something that they shouldn't. The Panthers win. If the Falcons win another game, they go up 2. You're not out yet, but it's starting to get to that hour now. The clock is getting close to striking midnight and ending your chances at a playoff run. But there's still other teams around you in space that are still close. They're still tight. You're still in a game back or tied with.
And if this offense doesn't get rolling and Kyle feels that Trey Lance would give him a better opportunity and he makes that switch, then he makes that switch.
I don't know. His comments this week, though.
He's annoyed.
He's definitely annoyed with Trey Lance right now.
Well, he's not annoyed with Trey Lance. He's annoyed with the questions about Trey Lance. It all comes down to he's tired of the. He's been consistent, right, about Jimmy's going to play while they're number one, while they have a chance to make playoffs. Number 2, Jimmy's going to play while Trey is learning until Trey is good enough and is ready to take over, and then the team is ready for Trey to take over. Those are all situations he's waiting for, and he's just getting annoyed, I think, with having to ask the same things. But let's be honest, he's probably frustrated because the team isn't winning, and he feels the pressure. He knows that they need to turn it around because they're far more talented. If they weren't a good football team, he wouldn't be feeling the same pressure he is feeling right now. No,
it's just we're doing everything we can. This team can, I believe in this team. It'd be the normal run of the mill talking points when you have a bad football team. But no, that's just it's an unfortunate thing. It really is. Jose, I've been hearing
my guy Jose.
I've been hearing that Warner is playing bad this year. Do you guys think so? Also,
no.
Heck to the his nah.
No, I mean, this is one thing we don't agree with some people on like social media and stuff. And one that we've had kind of conflicting beliefs with is Rich Madrid.
Absolutely.
And Rich Madrid is on board with us, and he breaks down film a lot, and I watch a lot of his stuff just to see what he's thinking and how he's going with things. And Fred Warner is doing everything that Rich said in that tweet was 100% accurate. He's still erasing coverages. He's still helping in the run game and great fits. The thing that Fred Warner's doing that the untrained eye won't understand is he's playing out of position and doing things that are asked of him to cover up for other weaknesses on the defense while Dre Greenlaw's out, while Al-Shaair was out. And so he's just trying to do a whole lot. And that's what he's being asked. So right now, he's not looking like all-pro Fred, but he's still playing at an all-pro level, which is crazy.
He still leads the team in tackles. He's still he's on track for his first 100 tackle season, and he's going to do it before the extra game gets here. I mean, the most solo tackles he's ever had in a season is, I think, 94, and he's on pace right now through 16 games to rack up, I think, 108.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 14 more tackles than he's ever produced in a single season. And that's with him being asked to basically, on certain situations, be a coverage guy, on certain situations, come up in the box and be the run fit, and on certain situations, be able to cover on the flats and be able to get inside and be on the run fit. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else. I don't know what else people want from him. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. All of his technique things are still there. He's still filling in the right spots. He's still getting, over the top of the blocks. He's still shedding blocks. He's making tackles. I don't see it, but what do I know?
True. Kyle feeling the pressure from Rob Parker calling him to get fired? No, definitely not that.
Seeing David Bender said, will 2022 be a different roster? I'm not sure who we're losing next year. It could be. We don't know how, who's going to stay. Laken Tomlinson's a free agent next year. Daniel Brunskill's a free agent next year. Raheem Mostert's a free agent. Jeff Wilson Jr. is a free agent. Mohamed Sanu is a free agent. We can name a bunch of guys. Jason Verrett's a free agent. Jaquiski Tart, a free agent. There's a lot of guys that are going to have to be, figured out and who they're going to bring back. The roster is going to change somewhat. It's also going to change by the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo's salary is not going to be on the books.
True.
So you're going to have some freedom there, to operate.
30 cap goes up $30 million next year. You free up Jimmy's contract. You're going to get about $26 million back. So you're looking at 55 just off that. You just made the move with Jalen Hurd and you freed up, not
$1.8 million.
It is. It's about 1.8.
I know. I'm just saying. It's like that's not a big move. You know what I mean?
No. You freed up almost an additional $2 million with the Hurd cut, on top of what you already had. So you had the $4 million, right? That you had. You add basically 2 on. You have an additional 6 that carries over. I think
the other big question will be D Ford. You know what I mean? What happens with his contract? I know he reworked his contract.
It's a big hit if they cut him. Trading him, I think, is the only one.
I don't know. I think he reworked it, so it was like $12.5 million.
I saw the rework. I think it's still pretty bad.
What if he retires after post June 1?
If he retires, then it's gonna be a different story.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's still ways around it, but we don't know how it's gonna happen.
Correct. The BV50 asking the question that's on everybody's mind. How in the hell do the Lambs keep signing high-priced players? Did they hire carbon policy to manipulate their salary cap? James, right after that, I believe they are backloading these contracts. The OBJ situation is probably going to be a 1 year or 2 year deal.
1 year deal.
1 year, you think?
100%.
1 year deal.
Why wouldn't he want to hit free agency and get paid big next year?
Especially if he has a big second half of the year here with the Rams.
Even if he doesn't.
That's
think about
true.
it. His name's OBJ.
Someone's going to pay him.
Yeah.
So he's going to get a very probably vet minimum salary because he is getting something from the Cleveland Browns from being cut and being moved on from. And then it's going to be heavily incentive laden, meaning that the money is going to come off next year's books. The Rams have already done this with a lot of their players. They're losing some players next year. I think they're only rolling into next season. I think 51 active players. They'll even have enough for a 53-man roster going into next season.
I think that's actually more than they went into this season.
It is. I think it's a little bit more.
Yeah.
But they only have $7 million in cap space going into next year, and whatever OBJ's contract is, that's going to eat into it. On top of guys already they have on their roster that are going to have that incentive-laden stuff going into next year as well. It's going to eat into that money. You don't know what their cap situation is going to look like, and we also don't know what it's going to look like years down the road because of how the contract is structured.
Brad Jones was being sarcastic, by the way.
What is it? What did he say?
With his
on the Rob Parker comment.
Yeah.
Good, Brad. No, it's fine. It's hard to tell with chat sometimes, but I like the sarcasm.
Okay, so Brad Jones asked, how has film on Huff been the last 2 weeks? To be honest, after watching Sunday's game, I fully went into the All-22 film expecting to see Hufanga making...
Bad Talanoa Hufanga.
Yeah, making mistakes. And what we found was actually Hufanga was in the right positions. He's actually reading coverages better than anticipated. He had a couple of times in run fits where he wasn't in the right spot or he didn't get to the right spot. And one time, he flattened down on what he thought was going to be a pass route and the guy snuck out the other way. To me, I think it was a great offensive play. I think most, safeties would have got beat on the play. So pretty much, I think he played well. I think he's progressing as a rookie in this league and is playing up to the standards in which I thought he was going to play coming in. So I'm very happy with his progress so far. I have no bad things to say about him. I think he's just going to keep getting better, and he could be a very valuable member of that safety room. He might even press for a starting job next year, depending on how his coverage develops the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he's ahead of schedule. He's 100% ahead of schedule. There was some bad. I don't want to say that he played a clean game or a perfect game. There was some bad, but that bad was undone by a lot of the good that he had and put on the field, whether that's the blitzes coming up in the run, some run fit situations. I don't want to put anything on his shoulders in terms of, he's a guy that they're out there expecting to play at a certain level. They know what his limitations are. They've done a really good job of putting him in positions to be successful. And here's the best thing too, is he actually played really, really well against the Bears, and playing with Jimmy Ward actually allowed that to be the case because of what Jimmy Ward can do in terms of getting him in the right positions, helping him while he's on the field, talking with him, communicating. Devon Wilson, there's a difference there between the two. Yes, he's a veteran, but he's a veteran who's new to this system, new to this scheme, who's still learning some of those things. And so you're not going to have that same level of communication between those two. They're not going to operate as well in space as Jimmy Ward will with him, especially since Jimmy Ward's a captain and just has complete control of the offense of the defense, on the field along with Fred Warner. He's going to help that secondary room out a bunch. So Jimmy Ward potentially being able to be back this week is a plus and a positive for Hufanga going into this football game.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Jose, what's up? He said, "Yo, what's up? What's good, coach?" Yeah, I had coached him. Have you seen? How have you been? And then the toxic 49er fan base, how's it been recently? It's like they're never pleased with Jimmy or Trey. Do you think just maybe Frank Gore would come back? First off, as far as the toxic fan base goes, people are very passionate about their football team and about how they interpret football. But one thing is that there are people in the social media land that like to have hot takes, emotional takes, and people run and jump on those. And yeah, it's crazy that some people. The ones that get me the most, I get, there's people that have not liked Jimmy for a while. The ones that get me are the ones that want to get rid of Trey right now. Like, Trey's a bum, or Trey's not going to, how? Like, what has Trey done, to not show that he can be a good player eventually in this league? I mean, let the rookie grow. But I do think that's crazy that we're over the top, either way. But I think it's passionate people that get passionate about their team, and they're really focused on that. And as far as Frank Gore goes, I don't think the 49ers are going to bring Frank Gore back. If there was ever opportunities when they had all the injuries, they didn't do that. Frank is doing boxing, as T.O. said right now. He's going to be boxing Darren Williams in an undercard coming up. I think it's in December. So Frank is turning his attention to other places. I don't think there's going to be an avenue for him to be able to play football anymore. So I expect him during the offseason to sign some sort of a one-day contract with the 49ers and retire a San Francisco 49ers.
That's what you hope, man. That's truly what you hope. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. And I saw someone else asking about cap money next year.
Yeah, James Vega's asking.
So what do you say specifically? I'm trying to find it.
He said, with over $50 million in cap space next season, how much of that will be in place of re-signing a few of our own players, or which players do the 49ers need to make sure they bring back?
So 49ers right now, you're looking at what you get your 53-man roster this year. You got some other guys. You're looking at 33 guys that they have going into next season that are under contract. Lincoln apparently is under contract next year. Is this accurate? I didn't think.
No, I thought he had a voided year for next year.
I think it is a voided year.
They restructured his deal last year, and they voided the last year of his contract.
I think it is, but they still owe him some money from that contract.
100%,
I think it's like $1 million or something like that. So you're gonna have some guys that you could bring back. Lincoln Tomlinson is definitely a name that they're gonna have to consider and take a look at. Arden Key, I believe, is another guy that they have to.
It's a 1-year deal.
Yep, take a look at and see. You have Maurice Hurst that was also on a 1-year deal. And that back end as well, you have in the secondary, Jason Verrett. You have K'Wan Williams. You have Jaquiski Tart. So there's a lot of names.
Tavon Wilson
is another one. There's a lot of names on both sides of the football that they have to look at. Daniel Brunskill is on a 1-year deal, is on last year of his deal as well. McGlinchey is another name that you need to start figuring out what you're going to do with, because next year is the last year of his deal. It's his 5th-year option on his rookie deal. There's questions. There's definitely a lot of questions in terms of what the 49ers are going to need to do or have to do to bring in some of these players. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. A bunch. You made the move for Charles Omenihu, so that maybe allows you to part with someone like a Maurice Hurst or some other people in the offseason, or maybe even Arden Key going forward, depending on the role that you want to utilize him in. You still got questions surrounding D Ford and what that is. It looks like, Ant, you save about $2 million in cap if you do that with D Ford, if you cut him or trade him I think it's pre-June 1st of next year. But it's about $9 million in dead money.
Yeah, and they're going to have a question about Ebicom as well. True. Ebicom's contract was a 2-year deal, but it was basically 2 1-year deals. So we'll see what they do. But ultimately, I think that they're going to have some money to use, and with that amount of money going into it, you can definitely re-sign your players, and structure the contracts to kind of, make it, spread out over different terms, because the TV money is going to keep rolling in. You're going to keep having more playoff games. The TV contracts are getting huge over the next few years, so there's going to be money out there. They're going to be able to pay everyone they want to pay, but they're going to have questions at the cornerback position. Is it going to be Deommodore Lenoir? Is it going to be Ambry Thomas? Those young guys going to be able to go. If Talanoa Hufanga is ready to step in, you have Jimmy Ward under contract. You don't have to worry about Jaquiski Tart. If you have those corners, you don't have to worry about Jason Verrett. So some of those things are, questions for the future. They have drafted some offensive linemen that might take care of the Laken Tomlinson issue, Daniel Brunskill issue. You're also going to, they have a lot of things in place for next year already, but how it's going to be constituted is going to be interesting. Let's see how aggressive they get. I have a feeling that with Trey Lance taking over as quarterback, they're going to want to be aggressive in adding talent to this football team, because Kyle Shanahan knows that that's the window. He's going to go on the hot seat if they don't win with Trey Lance in his first year. That's when the hot seat will officially start up after the 2022 season.
Accurate, Ant. Definitely accurate. Brad had said what you're saying is a couple of weeks of not starting with development, practice, all that coaching, and Hufanga's improving a little bit. Yes, what we've been saying consistently all year, that you don't have to necessarily start football games in order to develop as a football player. That's a crazy thought process. David Bender also asked, Ant, do you guys think the NFL is fixed? ?
No, I don't think it's fixed, but I think at times things can be somewhat maneuvered. I think referees get too involved in football games and determine outcomes of football games by bad calls. NFL, by points of emphasis, determine which teams are going to have more success than others. If a team is built on defense, especially defensive secondary that's built on physicality, and all of a sudden there's an emphasis on defensive pass interference during the season,
you're in trouble.
It could completely change the way your team can win. So I think it can go one each way. It can benefit certain teams. It definitely is more important to have a elite quarterback, because they're going to get certain calls. Also, they're going to things are going to get seen different ways. So I think at times it can be steered that way, but no, I don't ultimately think it's fixed.
I don't think it's fixed, but I think there is definitely an emphasis on. There's an emphasis on making sure that there are certain things that go a certain way. They want games to pan out in a fashion that's beneficial to the league. It is a business at the end of the day. It's a business that's extremely profitable. It's a business that's extremely important to everyone. And so, certain teams being able to have success, there's always storylines. And storylines sometimes can help the league push narratives or push ideas and can help bring attention that normally wouldn't be there.
100%.
And so, if you can do little things to help that along, I think they're not going to hesitate to ensure that those little things can occur to make sure that the story progresses the way they would like it to progress. Because a well-told story, there's no better effective method in the world in terms of getting a point across or getting people to engage than a well-told story. I mean,
I think it's a little bit easier to fix a game in basketball than it would be like in football.
Less moving parts.
Yeah, less moving parts. I think in football it's just way too complicated.
No,
I don't think they actually.
They don't fix. It's not that they fix games, but can you make things harder for a football team than necessary in order to have things play out?
I think it's more
100%.
not on a particular team and more on a style of play.
Correct.
They want to push a style of play that's based on offense and based on getting the football down the field, and teams that do that are going to be, at an advantage. I mean, they really are.
Definitely going to be an advantage, Ant. You're not wrong on that. And I saw a really good question up here talking about where is it? Oh, we saw the from James Vega. There was is it true that Ward could return for the Rams game?
Yes.
That is 100% true.
Yeah, Kyle expects him to practice sometime this week.
That's true. And then Brad here asks, who do they go after at center if Mac retires? So, Ant, I did pull up a center free agents list.
Okay.
I'm going to read some names.
Okay. And
you tell me doable, plausible, and what you think. So, first and foremost, unrestricted free agent, Ryan Jensen from Tampa Bay.
No.
Matt Paradis from Carolina, unrestricted free agent.
No.
Jason Kelsey.
They can afford Jason Kelsey.
That's the question. He made $9 million last year.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. Ben Jones from Tennessee. Justin Britt from Houston.
I mean, in a pinch, yes, he can run this. He can run it.
True.
Yeah.
Ted Karras from New England.
I like him a little bit, so I'd be interested in that.
28 too, a little bit younger. He only made $3 million last year. Tyler Shatley from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
No.
Austin Corbett from the Rams.
No. I watched him play. No.
Not very talented. Nick Martin from the Vegas Raiders.
No.
Josh Andrews from Atlanta.
No.
Tyler Larson from Washington.
No.
BJ Finney from Pittsburgh.
Not bad.
He isn't. You have Greg Mance and Austin Reiter from Miami.
They're going to draft a center.
I would agree with you on that.
I think they're going to draft a center. I think they're gonna make a move. I wish they would have done it in this draft. Wish they would have drafted a center instead of a guard.
You mean to tell me that none of these names sound good to you? Evan Brown from Detroit?
No. If they would have drafted a center in this draft, someone like Dickerson or like Creed Humphrey, they could have played him at right guard, during the season, and then when Alex Mack was ready to retire and move on, they could have moved him to center.
Very true.
To me, that made the most sense. That's why we were pushing for them to sign a center, and there were some good ones in this draft, and they didn't draft any of them. So
no,
I didn't understand the Banks pick then, and I'm hoping it's going to pan out. I'm toting the company line on this and cheering for him to pan out. I think he's a good guy too. So I want to see him be successful, but to me, it would have made more sense to go the center route, knowing that Mac was going to be gone in a year or two.
You're correct. You're definitely correct, and but look, the 49ers too, if you can address that need in the draft, you'd prefer to do that because of the amount of names that are going to be in free agency next year and the amount of money that you have from literally Von Miller, Allen Robinson, Chandler Jones, Chris Godwin, Dante Fowler Jr., Devontae Adams, Tyrann Mathieu. You have Cam Robinson. You have Brandon Graham. Stephon Gilmore still out there because I don't think he signed anything with Carolina. Calais Campbell.
He didn't.
Yeah, he did not. Calais Campbell, Akeem Hicks. There's a lot of names. There's a lot of names of guys you could bring in to San Francisco.
Well, how many of them are going to get franchised?
Some of them would be. You imagine some of them might be. But the question is going to come down to salary cap. Von Miller isn't eligible to be franchised, right?
Number one, look at Caleb's comment.
Is it bad that I didn't recognize? Oh, Yes, Caleb's comment is hilarious. And then Jose's there.
Yeah.
Is it bad that I didn't recognize anyone on that list but Kelsey? Linemen are really not known, huh? Unless you really pay attention.
That is true. Yeah, linemen really aren't. I focus in on the linemen a little bit because I enjoy the position. But yeah, knowing all those guys, it's not easy. It's easier now that we focus so much on the draft, Alex. That when they come out, we're like, oh, we know that guy and that guy.
Oh, that guy.
We
Yeah,
did
that makes sense.
so much focus on them. But yeah, no, it's not bad, Jose. I don't think a lot of people know who half the guys on that list were, or maybe 3/4 of those guys on that list are.
Accurate, Ant. Very, very accurate. An interesting.
Oh, whew. BV50's coming with the heat.
Hypothetically, would you trade Trey Lance for Aaron Rodgers? I think we're going to save this topic for a video, Ant.
When we probably should.
Probably should save it for a video.
Alex has some thoughts on this.
I do have tons of thoughts on this because as I've been saying, right, I've been slowly shifting away from this plan for the future and be aggressive for the present, trying to find that balance. I definitely have some thoughts on this. We'll do a video on this. We'll do a video on it. All right, so we got what from James here? Okay, I must ask this. Do the 49ers go all in to try and bring in Rodgers, knowing that they could also land D. Adams? If they get a second-round pick for Jimmy, use the 2 second-round picks back up into the first and get a center in the first round. That's if there's a center available.
I don't think you have to get a center in the first round.
I think you get one in the second or third.
Creed Humphrey, I think Landon Dickerson went in the end of the first round, but he really was a second-round talent. And then who was it that Green Bay got? Myers, right, from Ohio State.
Myers, that was a third or fourth.
Third or fourth round pick. You can get a center round 2, round 3, round 4 that could start for your football team and do a very good job.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if Mac's going to play next year. If Mac plays next year, you draft someone, you have him play behind him. If not, you draft the heir apparent. You draft someone that could take over right now. But I think you can get someone in rounds 2, 3, or 4.
You move Big Mike McGlinchey into center. I don't know if he can handle that.
He's not athletic enough. To play center. I don't think you do. A guard is the farthest in I can see him going, but I think he's going to play right tackle next year. And Jalen Moore and Aaron Banks are going to be your guards. It's the way it's looking.
That definitely is the way that it's looking, and I agree with you there.
Daniel Brunskill could play center next year. It wouldn't be the best situation, but in a pinch, that might be something they look at.
You're not wrong there, Ant. You're not wrong. J.C. Jackson is actually an interesting name in free agency next year. That's a corner for New England. He's got 500 plus snaps this year, 38 tackles. He's got 5 picks on the season. If you're the 49ers, Ant, he's going to be 26, still a young man. New England is definitely going to go in and I would imagine try and sign him, but Bill Belichick has done weird things in the past where guys coming into their own, if he feels like maybe they're not the right fit or whatever. J.C. Jackson, have you watched enough of J.C. Jackson to feel like that is a cornerback option for the 49ers next year?
No, I don't even know who that is.
Okay.
I don't delve into too much New England film. I know you're forced to watch it, but I don't watch it very much.
What? Why would you say that I'm forced to watch it?
Oh, yeah.
I have a certain person in the household who watches it.
You're shacked up with a Colts/Patriots fan.
It's just a Patriots fan. She's not a Colts fan.
I have a picture that proves otherwise.
I know that you have a picture that proves otherwise. I'm just telling you that pictures are misleading.
Picture speaks 1,000 words.
Stovey, how you doing, my guy? How you doing?
I see Clayton Porto said start 2 out of Terry, Marquise Pittman, CD, Amari, or Hopkins.
Are you playing in a chopping block league, my guy? Because that's a lot of good receivers on one roster, my guy. Let's see here. I believe the Washington football team has a fairly tough matchup. I believe they play New England. I think. I may be wrong on that. Pittman is the safest option of all of them, just because of the injuries and stuff that T.Y.'s been dealing with. Him and Carson have been hitting and clicking on all cylinders. So I like that. CD and Amari, one of them is going to go off. The money, I would say, is on CD Lamb because he's been consistently the guy that Dak Prescott has gone to. Well, that's just really tough. Really tough. Hopkins is coming off the hammy. That's just too hard to say. If I had to pick 2, you put a gun to my head, it'd be CD Lamb and Pittman is the 2 that I would be the most comfortable going with. They got decent matchups this week. Terry McLaurin has an outside shot just because there's really nothing else for them to throw to, so you could end up with 12 targets for 80 yards and a touchdown, and you're going to score a lot of points, especially if it's PPR.
Brad Jones makes a good point. I think Mac does play next year unless he gets injured, or they definitely would have drafted a center the last draft.
Probably.
It's a good point. Maybe he gave him, I know he signed more than a 1-year deal, but maybe he gave a commitment for at least 2, and that way they could go ahead and operate in the draft and all that. So That does make a lot of sense to me.
True. Let's go after Ben Roethlisberger. Why not? Oh God, keep him away.
He's joking. 100% he's joking.
I know he is.
Yeah.
I know he is. But holy cow, man. Ben Roethlisberger has declined fast. It has been quick. Let's see. How many more years is Rodgers playing from David Bender?
It all depends. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's not Tom Brady as far as his mental about football, where Tom Brady now says he could play till he's 50. But I think Aaron wants to leave a legacy where everyone believes he's one of those upper tier quarterbacks. He wants to win a couple more Super Bowls.
True.
So I think into his, early to mid 40s, I think is a possibility the way they protect quarterbacks now. And his skills are not diminishing. He's not going anywhere. So I think that especially if he got on a team where he believed he could win football games and he could win Super Bowls, he would stay for a pretty extended period of time. So early 40s. So you're talking, 5-6 more years at least?
At the very minimum.
Yeah.
At the very minimum. I agree with you on that. I think Rodgers wants to play a little bit longer.
David.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Gary. How you doing, sir?
Gary. What's up, Gary?
Mod Gary, how you doing? Rodgers wants to win a few Super Bowls with the 49ers. James, I hope you're right.
I think in a perfect world, him and Brady both wanted the same thing. They wanted to go back to the team that they love the most and win Super Bowls. So I think Aaron Rodgers would love to go to San Francisco and win a Super Bowl. The question is, does he still believe that that's a viable option? I know he wants to get out of Green Bay.
Yes.
I have a feeling that Aaron Rodgers thinks any team he's on is a viable option to win a Super Bowl.
I think it comes down to him it comes down to organization at this point and scheme. So San Francisco is going to have a similar scheme. That's great for him because he already has a familiarity with it. So maybe this is one of those things I keep hearing. Aaron wants control. Kyle's not going to give him control. But there's one thing that you're forgetting. It's a similar scheme. So Kyle coming in and being like, hey, you know the scheme. I'm willing to let you have some input and
what is the definition of control?
I think people think that he wants to be able to call the plays.
Yeah, see, I don't think he wants to be able to call the plays. I think he wants to be able to adjust the play at the line of scrimmage or change the play if needed. 100% input on what plays they're running. A smart coordinator will say, what do you feel comfortable with? One of the best quarterbacks.
What are you seeing?
One of the best quarterbacks I ever had, I used to ask him all the time, like, hey, what do you see? And sometimes he would tell me, like, oh, I see this, and we would go kill it. And sometimes I would see something, and we would run it, and we worked in tandem together. It's not about control. It's about working together in a partnership. If you have enough belief in each other, you 100% want a quarterback to be able to, run what he wants to run on the football field.
And you watched me coach basketball and have an incredible point guard that I had at that time during those years. Mm-hmm. You know the relationship that I had with him. You know how much time I spent coaching him. And I witnessed that quarterback that you're talking about and the relationship that you guys had.
Yeah, he's a member.
On the field, he is. Both on the field, right, and off the field as well. You have complete faith. You guys are on the same page. You're on that same mental wavelength. It's different. It's a different level and experience of coaching. I've never come close to that with any other player that I've ever coached.
I guarantee every single offensive coordinator wants that. Now, they want to be able to put together the game plan with the quarterback and a situation that's going to make him feel comfortable. And then when he's on the field, you want him to be able to adjust. That's when you really look good as a play caller, is when that quarterback can get you in the right situation, whether that is canning a play, getting to the right play, or checking out of a play and going to something else because of what the defense runs. Every coordinator wants that. It's not about control.
No, it's definitely not about control. James says, I hate to say this, but I really see Rodgers going to the Steelers. They could make a play for it. They definitely will try to.
Do you think he wants to play in the Northwest?
I don't think he does.
In the North again.
I personally don't think he does. I think he wants to come back to California.
Yeah.
I think he wants to come back to his home. I think the Steelers are a nice backup option. I think that's a team that he knows if it can't work out in San Francisco or can't work back out here on the West Coast with the team, that's a competitive team that I know I could go into and immediately have some success with. They got a lot of weapons, a lot of pieces, young running back. The only concern there is their offensive line, which is absolute hot garbage.
Right, and then you got the thing is Devontae's from here too.
Correct.
And those guys kind of want to stay together, so the potential of them coming together is a interesting scenario.
Aaron is going to be willing to rework things to make things work to an extent. You also got to remember it's California.
It is now about Super Bowls and legacy.
True.
And nothing would be better for him to be put in that upper echelon of quarterbacks. If you win Super Bowls with the 49ers, everyone knows that right away you're put up there with Montana, you're put up there with Young, and I think Aaron Rodgers would love that.
Stovey, yes. Yes.
What'd I miss?
He said, does San Francisco want Rodgers still after his COVID virus issue?
I mean, have you seen him play?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything.
No,
for me.
it wouldn't change it to me.
No.
He made a choice, whether it's right or wrong. I'm not going to get into whether it's right or wrong what he did. But he's still a very talented football player that you want on your team. They were willing to work with Nick Bosa when he was making his decision on it. So why wouldn't you make a decision with Aaron Rodgers that is based on football? I know sometimes that stuff gets involved, but keep the politics out of it. Keep that out of it, or you're going to make a bad decision about a really good football player.
You're going to make a decision based on something that's not football related.
Yeah. I mean, what it might make you do is make a decision on who your backup is. If Aaron can miss football games because of that, it makes you a tougher decision there, what your quarterback room looks like. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't make a decision based off that.
True. I agreed with you on that. That's kind of always where I've been. Caleb, I like it. Bring Aaron home. I do agree with it. Kyle puts his friendship in line to ask about Rodgers' trade. I don't know about he put his friendship on the line. He heard a report, he heard a rumor, and he picked up the phone and called his friend to find out.
I mean, I think his friend was actually perturbed by it.
That's on his friend.
That is on his friend.
That's on his friend.
I don't think that's a problem.
No.
I mean, should he have just let John Lynch call the GM? I guess. I mean,
I feel that's going behind his back.
I think what he was trying to do is a short period of time. He's just giving him the benefit of the doubt. Like, is there anything to this, man? And he's like, no, it's not. And he's like, okay, we're done.
I mean, I don't know what if LaFleur was actually upset about that. Then you know what, LaFleur. Okay,
be mad. I guess.
Be mad. Like we were earlier, I guess on Jalen Hurd. I guess you can
super salty.
Be salty about it.
I got salt all up in my beard right now. Yeah.
We're just flip flopping all over the place, man.
I like it.
We just flip flop.
Yeah.
We're not consistent about Trey Sermon not being the guy. We're not consistent about Elijah Mitchell being the Raheem Mostert replacement in a few years.
Well, you think that's bad? There's people that actually know what I'm thinking.
That's true.
They're actually saying that I'm not saying what I'm actually thinking.
No,
they know
true.
what I'm thinking. That's impressive. That hasn't happened since my grandma. She used to know what everyone was thinking.
Hey, grandmas do that though, man. They just know. They just know.
I'll guarantee you, if you know what I'm thinking, you'd be scared.
True. Sometimes I know what you're thinking.
But maybe, no.
And then I'm scared. I'm definitely
Let's
scared.
See, I don't give a crap if Rodgers had the HIV or AIDS. I want him to be on the team. Google account. Agreed.
It's a good one.
I can't stand Rodgers. Never liked his vibes. That being said, I would take him.
Good, David.
Exactly.
Attaboy, David.
100%.
Hop on board.
It's like that's like McVay, right? Like I told you, I used to not care for him the way but he's good, man. He's smart.
He is smart.
He's smart. I'm like, I'm not saying I would take him over Kyle or anything. I'm just saying sometimes people grow on you through time. Tom Brady.
He's a Wunderkind.
I was not a huge fan of Tom Brady. Now I appreciate what he does.
I appreciate Tom Brady. I still don't like Tom Brady.
Okay. Fair.
I don't like Tom Brady, but I appreciate everything Tom Brady has done for the league. I appreciate everything he's done for the game. I appreciate his work ethic. I appreciate the fact that he's able to do.
So you like him?
No. Appreciate, but do not like. Strongly despise. Let's put it that way. Strongly despise, but there's a healthy respect for Tom Brady.
I think you have to.
Aaron Rodgers.
You love him.
I love Aaron Rodgers. That's the thing. That's what made that draft so hard. That draft between him and Smith, it made it so difficult. Because I watched Cal games. I was at Cal football camps. Like I loved Aaron Rodgers, but I loved Alex Smith. Loved Urban Meyer. It was just like, dude, do we have to pick one? Can we have both? Can we have both of them in case one of them doesn't work out? And when they made the move for Smith, I was extremely happy. I hated seeing Aaron fall. Smith started not panning out, and Rodgers took over and started doing well. I was like, oh my God, no. I was just glad that Smith salvaged the last portions of his career in San Francisco and continued to have success no matter where he went up until the end.
Yeah. I mean, Alex Smith is a great guy. He really is. Talent-wise, not on the level of Aaron Rodgers.
No.
But he's a good dude. He's a class act. So I liked Alex Smith. But yeah, I would rather have Aaron Rodgers.
I agreed with you. I mean, I agreed with you. Now, back then, no. Back then, I wasn't in that boat because I saw the IQ with Smith and everything else and just thought, well, you can get that done. You can get it done.
And James brings up, people say it wouldn't be fair to Trey if he had to be behind Rodgers. If I was Trey, I would be happy to be behind Rodgers. I think the key is if the 49ers, if it's a 1-year deal, then yeah, you're right. You got Trey sitting behind him. If it's a multi-year deal, then you're probably looking at a way to move on from Trey. So yeah.
Oh, Google account. Don't even remind me of that football game. I turned off the television. I stopped watching that
the
football
David
game.
Carr game.
I stopped watching that football game.
Wow.
It made me absolutely sick to my stomach. I could not believe it. I was watching that and just being like,
Wait,
guys.
You didn't know the most popular quarterback on the team is always the backup?
It's always
Alex Moran.
I was a naive young man watching that football game, hearing the chants and being like, you have got to be kidding me. Are you people insane? You people are insane. I was young. I don't even remember what year that was, but I was a teenager. And I knew that was nonsense. I was like, oh my goodness gracious. I turned the game off. I was like, I can't watch this. I went upstairs and did homework.
Okay, they all cheered for him in 2011.
True.
Then all of a sudden, Alex was good.
Yeah, he's the man again.
Let's imagine.
That's crazy.
It's crazy what happens when you win football games.
Yeah, it's nuts, man.
All of a sudden, you're the best.
Almost like you're the best thing that's ever happened to the organization of the franchise. Do you still back the decision not to sign Brady last year because people forget how he was pretty bad that last year in New England? For me, it was never a back decision. It was always looking at what you just had. You saw the flashes in 2017 when you brought him in. The 2018 season gets off to a fairly good start, and things are going fairly well for San Francisco until he goes down. He's playing fine during that year, and then the 2019 year happens, and it's like, okay, yeah, no, this is our guy. We have our quarterback. We almost just won a Super Bowl. We were right there. Yeah, Brady's available, but we just got you there. The year that Tom had, it's really, really easy to look at what Tom has done with Tampa since then. Hindsight's always perfect, but I understand it. Yeah. I understand why they made the decision. Back it. I can't knock it. I can't knock the decision.
I think it's interesting that the 49ers have had a couple of instances, right, where they've had the same parallel, where they had a incumbent quarterback who's coming off a pretty good season, and then they have one of the all-time greats who's interested in coming to your football team. You have the Peyton Manning situation where you have Alex Smith coming off the 2011 season, and Jim Harbaugh and them are, Balky especially wants this to happen. Jim Harbaugh's doing the secret missions, to go watch him, work with Cutcliffe out there at Ole Miss. And they're kind of going through the whole process, and they end up deciding not to go with Manning, and Manning goes to the Broncos and takes them to 2 Super Bowls, wins 1. Then you have the situation now with Brady, where the 49ers had a similar situation. Now, Jimmy had a better performance than Alex Smith did, got him farther than that.
100%.
And you had a situation, right, where you had Manning coming off the injury, you had Brady coming off what, to him seemed like a down year. So maybe he's trending down, but he still had over 4,000 yards.
True. Still
had a good season. And both times, the 49ers organization chose to go without the veteran.
They went loyal.
That's why I have a question about Aaron Rodgers, because in this situation, I wonder if they're willing to overlook recent past and stick with the young kid, thinking that Trey Lance could be the future and what he could do for 10 to 15 years, or they're going to look at it and be like, you know what, Aaron Rodgers is a MVP. For 5 years, we could have an MVP caliber player on our football team. What could we do in that time period? We know that Shanahan's got going to have 4 years left on his contract. It would make sense probably to move on from the young kid at that point. They were willing to do that on draft night. They make the phone call. So they were willing to give up the 3rd pick in Trey Lance in that situation. Would they really be able to do that after this season? It's interesting.
You and I have already had this conversation, so you know where I'm at with this.
Oh yeah, we won't go all the way into it then. We'll save it for the episode.
We'll save it for the episode when it comes. But all of those things factor in and weigh. They have to. You have to look at every decision that's been made in the past. You have to look at where your team currently is now and where it could be here in the future.
Yeah.
And while Trey Lance's potential is very, very high, there are still questions about how high it will get and will he realize that full potential. You already know what Aaron Rodgers is. There's that known commodity as well as that future commodity. And I've been telling everyone this. I've always struggled with this as a fan. As someone who operates a team, I've always struggled with this concept of now and future. It's something that I've constantly weighed, and I've made my mistakes and learned as a coach, and I've made my mistakes and learned as a fan. And you find a way to try and balance those two things out the best you possibly can. And I am now super excited to dive even more into this when we get to the actual episode to talk about this, because there's a lot of ways to look at it. There's a lot of ways to dive into this scenario and the Aaron Rodgers situation and the Trey Lance conundrum that will come up because of it. It'll be a fun conversation when we get to it.
Yeah, and David Bender says, what does Steve Young mean when he says they don't have enough dogs? I think he means enough guys that are making noise, enough guys that are getting after it consistently.
True.
I think that's what he means. I don't ultimately always agree with what Steve Young's sentiments are. As a guy from the media, he needs to have talking points. But I haven't agreed with him since he was a player on some of his points and some of the things that he said. But I guess his thought process is the 49ers need more guys that are going to get after it. Josh Norman is a dog. Fred Warner's a dog. Nick Bosa's a dog. Those guys get after continuously. George Kittle, he's a dog. Kyle Juszczyk, he's a dog. So I think that they do have guys on their team that are ready to get after it. I mean, Deebo Samuel's a dog. He gets out there and runs a play, gets hit, and laughs at the guy. That's a dog. I mean, that's the definition of a dog. So in this regard, I don't know what Steve means. Maybe he means these guys need to get off their leash and start playing like more dogs. Maybe right now they feel leashed. I don't know. I didn't hear the comment exactly. But sometimes these guys put stuff out in the media because they're part of the media. True. And they need to have talking points.
Stovey, I disagree with you. You said probably 2 firsts for Aaron Rodgers. Brad says how much of the Packers are going to want for Rodgers.
Oh, that's interesting.
Stovey says 2 firsts. I disagree with that completely for one reason and one reason only. Rodgers wants out. They want to move on from Rodgers. That much is apparent. So the leverage is not with the Green Bay Packers because Aaron Rodgers is going to want to leave. He's going to want out. He doesn't want to be in this situation anymore. He's made that abundantly clear. He wanted them to cut and move on from him this year.
I think there are people that would pay 2 firsts. The question is, though, he's going to determine where he goes.
Correct.
So they lose a little bit of leverage there, right? You're not trading him to Carolina or Jacksonville.
Not only that, we all just saw what happened with Jordan Love. We all saw what just happened with Jordan Love. It's a dumb dog.
Brad Jones, there's got to be one. You got to have one that's got that little crazy, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But you just saw what happened with Jordan Love.
Right. Would they go straight up? Trey Lance for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, maybe you can't answer that because that needs to be in the other episode.
That needs to be in the other episode. We'll wait. Look, last question of the night. Last question. We're going to wrap this up. A quick question. What was your favorite recent Super Bowl run, 2019 or the Cap Harbaugh Super Bowl run? Ant, I'll let you go first.
I would say as far as enjoyment, I went with 2019. Only because it really did feel like we were on track, like that team was going to win the Super Bowl. With the Kaepernick teams, the defense was really good until the playoffs, and then it felt like the defense went away, and Cap kind of helped carry us through those playoffs. The comeback against Atlanta, and also, that was so big. They probably wouldn't have won that game with anyone else at quarterback. He just really took it on his shoulders and then, led them the way. But I thought with the way the offense and everything operated for the 49ers in the playoffs, they were in complete control of the game against Minnesota, complete control against Green Bay. So it was a more enjoyable ride because you got to enjoy kind of the Niners dominating. And then you had that, everyone was talking about Kansas City and that offense and the belief that our defense was just that much better. And to me, it's really enjoyable when you have a defense that goes out there and operates at a high level and is exciting to watch, that can create turnovers, get after the quarterback.
Accurate.
So to me, because the defense didn't play so well in 2012, I had a fear of the Baltimore Ravens early on when they beat the Broncos that season. I didn't want to see them in the Super Bowl. So I would say that was more enjoyable. But both of them are kind of frustrating because I think we should have walked away with Super Bowl victories.
We should be 7-0 in Super Bowls. I mean, we should have 7 straight, essentially. But no, I'm in that boat too. 2019 is the one that's the more favorable one. Less drama surrounding the team also. You had the Cap Smith debate and, the fan base split over that whole situation and what was going on there. The way that Super Bowl started too was not enjoyable at all. The 2019 season just felt magical. Everything felt like the stars were aligning for this team to just, as long as you take care of business and execute and do what you're supposed to do. And everything seemed that way and it appeared that way. I enjoyed it completely start to finish, that 2019 season. That the 2012 not so much. Didn't enjoy it start to finish. There were a lot of ups and downs, a lot of hurdles, a lot of getting out of my own way with support of the team, learning to become faithful, fully faithful. I didn't love the decision to go to Kaepernick at the time. I came to support it despite my dislike of wanting to make the move to Kaepernick when they did, because I was such a staunch Alex Smith supporter and the journey he had been on. I felt it would have been more meaningful and the team would have rallied more with Smith. But I got behind Cap. We made it all the way to the Super Bowl. Was extremely thrilled for that because now the future seems extremely bright with the young man and the young kid. But and it was just an unfortunate situation. But it was definitely more turmoil for me internally than the 2019 season, which was just basically enjoying this team coming out of left field to be one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah, that's what's exciting is because they played complementary football and executed at a high level. And that's always fun football to watch. So, yeah, there were lots of big names on that 2012 team, but the 2019 one was really exciting.
It definitely was. TCC faithful, we hope you enjoyed this nice little Q&A session. A lot of great questions, a lot of positive things in this. I know I enjoyed the heck out of it.
Good conversation.
A great conversation, and now we get to
big ups to chat for bringing it hard with great questions and great commentary the whole entire time.
The whole time.
You guys are the stars of the show. You did an absolute great job. I really enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite ones so far.
Definitely one of my favorite all-time favorite live Q&As that we've done so far. So chat, tip the hat. Great job. You did absolutely impeccable. We appreciate it. We enjoyed the conversation. Go enjoy the Thursday night game. Go get ready for everything else we got. Friday Frenzy coming your way. Don't miss it. Be here. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until then, actually, I would say stay safe, Ant, but I think it's time we
would chalk another one up.
Absolutely. See y'all tomorrow. No, Caleb. No, Caleb. Boo. Boo the Browns. Boo. All right, bye.